to be politically correct. I love all of them. I mean, listen, the kids have had some unbelievable opportunities to play at places. We ran a tournament at Liberty National for 5 years. We had a 5-year run there, and that was an incredible experience, a really unique experience. You really feel like you're almost playing golf in the city. But if you just look at our calendar, I mean, we're loaded with the best of the best. I mean, there's...
All right. Welcome to another episode of Expand Your Brand. A little bit of a different format today. We had a special guest, DaveAdamonis. He's the Executive Director of the Challenge Cup. He's our guest today, so we're going to do our sports talk and sports news first to hit it off, and then we're going to jump into our interview with David, which was an awesome interview. And it was really fun talking to him and what the Challenge Cup has been and how much it's meant over to Rhode Island in the past 20 something years, or New England in the past 20 something years. So great interview with him. But let's start it off. Austin, what do you have? I know your scar is almost to a nub there. So
yeah, it's different too.
Yeah.
I have the Acid 20 today. Very good. I needed to switch it up. I need to have more of a variety in my life, so it was very good.
We'll expand your brand on
Yes.
the cigars there. Yeah. I have the what the hell do I have? I have the Christoph. I went back to my old ways, and I miss it. It's been good. Sometimes you just need to go back to old glory, I guess. But all right, let's get into it. Let's get into sports news and talk. We have the Zurich Classic going on right now. It's read by Clark and Hostler. The lead was 16 under. Again, we're filming this today on Saturday, so the final results will depend, obviously, when the episode comes out. And then Redmond and Ryder are 15 under, but Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantley went on a tear yesterday, went 9 under in that tournament. I mean, what do you think about first of all, the format of this tournament, and what do you think about them playing well?
I love it. I actually have a 4-ball coming up, so looking forward to it. I think it gives the PGA Tour a different dynamic weeks like this, and it's super cool. I mean, it's basically a shootout between you and your partner and then the whole field. So I think it's super cool. Xander and Cantlay are a pretty good tandem. But what'd you say? Clark and Hostler, Redmond and Ryder. I mean, it should be an interesting weekend for sure.
Yeah. I'm excited. It's like the Masters has really got me back into like the golf mood, I think, like of watching. And I think I hope no one from my job listens to this, but like I'll pop it on and I'll watch like those Thursdays and Fridays. And it's really, really nice. I won't, no complaints, so hopefully I don't get fired. So if I don't have a job on next Wednesday, you'll know. But I enjoy watching, and it's a different format for sure, and the team golf and everything that's it makes golf like a different aspect of everything.
For sure.
I also want to ask you, because it's not on our format, but I want to ask, Will Ferrell's doing a golf movie about the live and everything, based off the live. What are your thoughts on that? And I can only imagine what that's gonna be.
I mean, if it's anything like semi-pro, it's going to be a hit. It's definitely going to be interesting. I think it's got to be a comedy, right? I'm pretty sure. So, it should be interesting. It'll be fun to watch when it comes out. And I don't know how it's going to kind of unfold, but it seems like it's going to be pretty cool. And, it should be interesting.
Yeah, I think I think it goes to the popularity, too, of where golf is today, and we talked about that with Dave too in our interview of how COVID kind of really drew the game. And then it's funny Will Ferrell's done so many sports comedies, and he did like a sports documentary of just like playing all the baseball positions. So it's gonna be real. I think, like you said, if it's anything like semi-pro or Talladega Nights or something I think it's gonna be hilarious. Hopefully there's some good guests and other people gonna be in that too as well. It's gonna be really, really fun. Let's get into the NBA playoffs too, because we have. I mean, the Celtics, they lost last night to the Hawks. I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen. I don't know if it's just, I don't know. So they're up 2-1 right now against the Hawks, which is a little bit scary. What are your thoughts on the Celtics?
I mean, the first 2 games at home, they look great. Last night, losing to the Hawks, they gave up 130 points. Like, that's a little dicey, especially to the Hawks. So it'll be interesting going forward to see how they rebound from it in Game 4 and then going back home. I mean, it shouldn't be more than a 5-game series, I don't think. But if it is, it's pretty concerning going into the next round.
Right, yeah. The thing that concerns me with the Celtics is they play down to a level to their opponents, and I don't really even I use it as an example of the Bucks game when they had none of their starters playing, and they were getting carried. Which Derek White's having an amazing series, but Derek White was carrying them against that team. It's they played who is this team? It was made us look like we were the deepest team in the NBA. I shouldn't say we. I don't play for them, but it made the Celtics look like they were the deepest team in the NBA. Yeah. And it was nuts. And then the play these other teams, you're like, what the hell? What? Why do you guys kind of disappear? And I don't know if they just fall in love with the 3-ball. I don't know what it is, but it's very interesting to see how they play down to that level.
Yeah, they need to rebound in Game 4 for sure. Yeah. There's no business. The Hawks have no business beating the Celtics.
No, definitely not. And then the Knicks are up. They're up 2-1. I think last time I spoke to Coach K, they were they were tied the series, and the Nuggets are also have a commanding lead of the 3-0 series. It just looks like Karl Anthony Towns. Sorry if you ever come on this podcast, but we forgot how to play basketball. But it doesn't look like he's doing so well, and Knicks look good. I don't know if you saw it too. The jump back to the Knicks, but the fans were going nuts in the streets.
They were playing, right?
Yeah. Talking about KD, don't you wish you were here or something like that. So it's very interesting. And then a lot of the other series are in a lot of 2-1 leads. It looks like with the Suns and Clippers are going to be interesting if Kawhi's going to come back.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like that. That's a good series as well. And then the Kings Warriors 2-1.
Yeah.
And then it looks like maybe the Sixers have a chance to sweep today actually at 1, and then I think the Heat beat the Bucks. I think that's the only team.
Yeah.
So
I think so.
Yeah. So I mean, NBA playoffs is great to have back. I mean, this weekend is full of games from 1 to 10 o'clock tonight, and same thing tomorrow, which is going to be phenomenal. So I love playoff basketball.
Yeah, I agree. I don't watch too much of the regular season anymore now that I'm older, but I used to love it every second, but now the playoffs is when crunch time really happens. But the games, I mean, they haven't been a 20-point lead in the NBA is nothing now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hit or miss depending on the game, but yeah, the NBA playoffs, there's nothing better, and the first round could get a little stale, but after that, it's game on.
Yeah, seriously. And then we've had some WWE and football in a couple of the basketball games. Draymond stepping on Sabonis, and Joel Embiid tackling somebody too for grabbing his leg So it's been an interesting playoff, but that's what playoffs of basketball is all about. It's super physical. It's top level play of basketball that you'll ever see. So super exciting, but. All right, let's cut a word to our sponsor along with the cigar of the week this week, and we'll go to our interview with DaveAdamonis. Thanks, guys.
Welcome to Vintage Cigar Lounge, the place where you escape to, not from. The place where your cigar options are limitless. A place where friends come together and bond over the finest cigars and drinks. A place where your selected few can retreat to and enjoy premium cigars, great conversation, and your liquor of choice within the privacy of our private rooms. Looking for a place to escape to? Our doors are always open.
Sounds good. All right, on today's episode, we welcome on a very special guest. He is DaveAdamonis. He is the
president of the U.S. Challenge Cup, right?
My title's Executive Director.
Executive Director
All right.
of the U.S. Challenge Cup. Thank you so much. Sorry, I don't have my phone in front of me. Usually I have the intro and everything written down, and my phone's by my computer, so I apologize about the mess up on the intro. Dave, thank you so much for joining us today and dealing with our crappy our crappy technical difficulties over here. But That's computer life. But thanks so much for joining us today.
I'm happy to do it.
Well, we're very excited to have you on the show. I want to ask about your background and how you got into the game of golf, and like how did you start playing growing up?
I think I was maybe about 4 or 5, and my dad my dad threw a pair of skates on me about the same age, and put a golf club in my hand, and really all started then. Both my brother and I got started at a very early age, and we often found our times out with my dad and his friends initially, and golf was a much bit different game back when I was a kid. Um, Junior golfers really didn't have much access to courses, especially if it was at a private course. A typical day in the neighborhood would be you would be able to get out around 2 or 2:30 in the afternoon if you're a member somewhere, and even at other daily access courses, it wasn't as junior friendly as the game is now. It's really kind of amazing where we're at in the game.
Yeah. So how did the Challenge Cup begin?
My dad and a few of his friends were sitting around talking about exactly, what I just explained to you guys, what the climate was as far as junior golf went. And, my dad really had a vision that golf should be a game that not only younger people should have access to play, but women and really people of all race, so really just, race, gender, and, age. He didn't want there to really be a definition as to who should be able to play golf and when they should be able to play it. So at the time, it really wasn't a friendly climate to kind of dig those trenches and to give kids opportunities. But when I was a junior golfer, we ran our first tournament. It was a 9-hole, played it at a 9-hole course. It was called a Challenge Cup Championship. It was a preview to the Rhode Island Interscholastic League high school season. And
Oh, wow.
we invited 10 teams to it. And Chris Hume, who is battling cancer right now, was my childhood buddy and my best friend really when it came to golf. He won the first edition of the Challenge Cup Championship. It was at Chemawa Golf Course in Attleboro or South Attleboro, Massachusetts, and we invited 10 teams. He was the individual winner, and my high school team won the first event. And tournament bounced around for a little while. We played some pretty good tracks, including Rhode Island Country Club and Warwick Country Club. For a little while, we were, didn't really have a home, and ultimately we've really been at Alpine Country Club for, I'd say, about the last 26 years with that event. They've had a construction project going on, so Adamonis has actually chipped in and hosted the first round of the tournament the last 2 years, and it's where it all really began. 41 years ago, we ran our first event, and if you
Wow.
just speed ahead to 2023, we're running close to 40 tournaments for primarily juniors, but we do run about a half a dozen events that incorporate other players. We have some stuff. Austin just finished playing an event that both amateurs and mid amateurs and we have a legends division for guys over 55 and the juniors all compete in the same event. And then we have a couple tournaments during the summertime where the pros even join the mix. So it's nice. It's nice that the kids have an opportunity to play against those older people. While they're a little bit more limber and they might hit the ball a little bit further, there's a lot to learn, in this game. It's such a cerebral game that, that's usually the last element that younger people end up mastering or try to master. I don't know if we ever end up mastering anything in golf.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's awesome that you guys have had so many, like, to see it grow and see how many tournaments you've had now and see it up to over 40 tournaments. I mean, what goes into coordinating a tournament from start to finish? Like, what's the details and how does that work out?
It's a ton of work. Today's tournament, we only have 40 kids playing, which is a small field, and it's by design. But, typically we're over 100 players for an event. So there's just a lot that goes into it, from, first of all, securing a course. Once you've secured a course, then, you're going to go over to the course and just make sure that, all logistics of running the event are in place. So, you're working with the golf professional, superintendent, general manager of clubs. And, we're really fortunate. Our organization wouldn't be as good as it is without the support really of really the entire golf community. And, I feel very blessed and honored to have the relationships that we do and the support that's in place, because we couldn't do it without any of them. A lot of work goes into it on our end, but without their support, none of this would be possible.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. What is it from beginning to end? How do you kind of navigate and finalize the entire schedule, all 40 plus events for the year? Does it start the previous year? How does that kind of work?
So we're a little bit different than a state association. State association typically is going to bounce around, and they're going to have different venues for. So, for example, like Rhode Island Golf Association, Bob Ward, he's probably has about maybe 12 events on the men's calendar, I think. And then not as familiar with the women's calendar, but he's probably got between like 16 to 20 major events if you include the men's and the women's, and they're going to different courses on an annual basis. And I feel like that's a little bit more of a challenge, where we're kind of a repeat redo, meaning that whatever venue that we're at. So for example, we've been running this tournament here, this Northeast Junior Ryder Cup that we're hosting this afternoon at Ledgemont Country Club. And this event is, I think, year 25 maybe that we've been running the event here. And then, like I was talking about the Challenge Cup Championship, we've had a home with Alpine Country Club for the past 26 years. So typically we're repeat redo, and it really starts the year before. You just make sure that the dates work with the club. And the nice thing is that once you get in the door somewhere, most of the clubs embrace this. Like, for example, when we were at Alpine, the members were out there looking at the scoreboard, and pretty impressed with some of the scores that the kids shot, and just asking some questions. And we go to a place like Triggs, when we host the World Series of Junior Golf in the summertime. 160, 70 players in the field. And you have a whole group of guys that are members of the club that go out and watch, the kids play. And, so it's pretty neat. Most of the clubs buy into what we do. And listen, at the end of the day, we're in a tricky spot right now with golf, because every course is booming, right? COVID really, was, the one good thing that came out of COVID was it just really stabilized golf. Golf wasn't in a great place prior to COVID. And right now it's booming. And, so it's a little tricky, because all these courses have a wealth of people that are playing them. The memberships are full, and public courses are seeing numbers like they've never seen before. And so it's a little tricky, just, trying to balance it all. But, you hope that in our group of courses, I can tell you, they'll support us forever. I mean, they were supporting us when golf was cranking. And as we kind of hit a little bit of lull, they supported us, and they continue to support us. But it's definitely a little tricky and a little challenging for associations right now to coordinate tournaments, because it's just, there's such a demand for access from members and from the public to play, that they have to find a way to balance that. So I feel like Bob Ward's job is a little bit more difficult than mine, just because we're a repeat redo, and he's always looking to, have different venues, host different tournaments every single year.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's great. Well, yeah, it's crazy that the game of golf has grown so well. And like you said, it's got to, I'm sure it's a little difficult to move around, like to navigate all the public courses, being able to, handle all the people trying to play golf and everything. But that's awesome that you have the repeat redo for you guys and for yourself. But I want to ask, speaking of all the courses, I mean, what's been your favorite course of all time to play, or do you even host an event at that?
I need to be politically correct. I love all of them. I mean, listen, the kids have had some unbelievable opportunities to play at places. We ran a tournament at Liberty National for 5 years. We had a 5-year run there, and that was an incredible experience, a really unique experience. You really feel like you're almost playing golf in the city. But if you just look at our calendar, I mean, we're loaded with the best of the best. I mean, there's so many courses in New England that, support what we do. We make a visit to Bethpage during the fall. We just finished playing at Newport Country Club. But if I would say this, I mean, almost, every course that's in the Rhode Island on the RIGA docket has, in some shape, way, or form, been supportive of our organization. And, the the Triggs of the world, and the Cranstons, and those public courses. Oftentimes, Winnipeg won with Nick Scola, who's been unbelievable to us. He hosts 5 of our qualifiers, and they're all on weekends. They're 100-player fields. Like, those courses are just as they're in some ways they become even more important to us just because of the access that they're giving us. I mean, who's giving up a golf course that's a public owner for 100 some odd players to let us play on a weekend? I mean, we pay a fee, but it's not a full fee to play. So like I said, we need every single one of them to support us, and we appreciate everybody's support. So I'm not particular to one of them. I love going to each one of them, and there's a little bit of a different story almost behind every tournament, and venue that we go to, based on the relationships that I have with people. And every week I look forward to each event and to the courses that we're going to, and to the people that are there. Doing this, I've been doing this since 1996, so the relationships run pretty deep.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have a particular moment or day that stands out that is kind of like your greatest memory as being the director of the Challenge Cup? I know you've had great players come through, so yeah, I'm sure it's a long list.
So I have, we recognize. So you just played in a tournament that we recognize my dad, and really my dad started what's now called the DaveAdamonis Senior Players Championship. It used to just be called the Challenge Cup Players Championship. He started that, I would say, back in the early 90s, and the idea of it is just what his vision was, to bring all the peeps together to play in a tournament at the same time, meaning juniors and whatnot. So those types of tournaments, Barry Gately, who worked for us, we have a tournament called the Gately Cup. Barry passed away about the same time my dad did. My dad passed away in 2009. And then Mike McCampbell, who played for URI, we have a tournament coming up next weekend at Rhode Island Country Club. Those tournaments carry a little bit of extra sentiment to me. Those are people that that worked for me, or were obviously with my dad, were related to me. And anytime we're honoring those folks, it's just a little bit of sentiment that's involved. So when we go to those events, and certainly with the Challenge Cup Championship and the history of it being our first event, they hold a little bit of extra sentimental weight, but all tournaments are pretty meaningful, and they're good competitions, and there's always a little backstory behind each one of them.
Yeah, that's great. I want to ask too a little bit more of a personal question. I mean, what's it like watching your brother Brad excel at a high level?
Golf is, I think, one of the coolest things that I saw at the Masters was after John Rahm won this most recent edition. When he walked off the green, there was an army of people that were there to meet him. All right. There had to be close to 25, 30 people that were part of his entourage. And that's what it takes to build a golfer. I mean, it's not just one person. There's so many people that impact you, as in order to be on that journey, and really that make you, help to build you into who you are as a player. I mean, the game is such a game of isolation, it's a difficult game. There's on a weekly basis, there's only one guy who ends up winning, right? So out of a field of, it could be 128, 144, 156, depending on size of field, what time of year it is. And so only one guy feels away walking away from a tournament with a sense of accomplishment. And so there's a lot of, I think, emotion. When my brother had a chance to win John Deere back in 2008, I wasn't at the tournament. I was at home. We had a Challenge Cup event the following day after John Deere, and that was brutal. I mean, he led the tournament almost the whole entire way, and Kenny Perry and I can't remember the other guy who reeled him in. They reeled him in, and Brad had a 20-footer on the last hole to win it. And his thought process, it was the first time he thought, I think, during the week. He was kind of on automatic pilot, he started doing the math in his head on the 18th green. And it's like, I'm going to secure a card if I just end up in a playoff rather than thinking about the execution of making a 20-footer, to really a life-changing putt. And left it about 3.5 feet short. And he ended up making the putt to end up in a playoff. And then, unfortunately, he didn't win the playoff. But it's been a cool journey. Brad isn't a Keegan Bradley as far as just, the success that he's had. It's a tough game, for somebody to stay in the game for the length of time that my brother has. He's had some great results and obviously he's on the Champions Tour this year and he's played in one event and, hoping he'll have a little bit better status. But, there's a lot that goes into it. And, I think for us as a family, it's a fun ride, but it's an emotional ride too, because you'd like to have more success, but it's not as much as you'd like to. So, and you really celebrate those things and take in those things when, like he got into Cologuard, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that's his first Champions Tour event. And, so we were pretty jacked for that. So, he spent a lot of the last 5 years. He's really been on the Monday qualifier trail quite a bit, and that's a tough racket. So, yeah. I mean, it's been a lot of fun though. I've had a chance just with being my brother to really be connected with the game from really the bottom. With the junior golf. Our ultimate goal with the Challenge Cup is we're hoping that our kids use our program to go play college golf, and that's really the drop-off point for us. It's not so much that we want to build the next professional golfers. We certainly revel in the fact, that we have the Keegan Bradleys and Megan Kang, who's hunting her first win at the Chevron Championship, which is a major for the woman this weekend. She's only, I think, one back going into today's third round. So we certainly revel in that, but I take just as much pride in the success of the guys that are doing something different in life, and most of them are. I mean, it's so difficult to become a professional golfer. I can't remember what the statistic was, but it was insane, really. I think it was point like 06 or something like that. Your chances of playing at the level that my brother has played at, and so we're just as excited for people that are doing things in life, whether they're an accountant, a doctor, they're hosting a podcast, whatever it is, we really, I refer to our organization and our people as Challenge Cup Nation. I've really tried to build a brand that really presents a circle of life, meaning that, we all are part of this great group of people and circle of life. And I'm a big pay it forward person. I feel like if you pay it on to somebody else, they're not necessarily going to return it to you. My hope is that they're part of that circle, and they're paying it forward to somebody else, and then it ends up coming back, and potentially it comes back to help out the Challenge Cup in an indirect way, or for that matter, even somebody else. When my dad was sick with cancer, the people that took care of him were at Mass General. And, little did my dad know when he set out to start the Challenge Cup that it would be a couple of doctors that I was friendly with. And, my dad was down in Florida. He wasn't doing well, and they weren't very optimistic about his prognosis. And, I leaned on a couple people that I knew through the Challenge Cup, and my dad started the Challenge Cup. So there's a perfect example of that circle of life, what I mean, that I believe in. And, he got really good care there for 4.5 years, but he had a pretty, an unbeatable situation, unfortunately. And, but for 4.5 years, we got this exemplary care. And, then that came from, as I told him one day when we were driving up to Mass General, I said, listen, this is all because of you. A perfect example of that whole circle of life.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. It's awesome to see it come full circle. And you're speaking about different avenues outside of golf. How do you like to spend your free time when you're not at a tournament or not at a course?
So up until January 1st of this year, I was a managing partner of Camp Bow Wow in West Warwick, Rhode Island, which is a dog daycare and boarding facility. I have since retired from that position after 6.5 years. It it was a fun run. I love dogs, but I'm 54 now, and quite frankly, working 100 hours a week between running two businesses is a little bit too much, and I really wasn't getting to spend very much time with my wife and my daughter. So I made a decision that as I joked around for 6.5 years, I said my life is going to the dogs. Well, now it's returning to just golf and to my wife and to my daughter, which is pretty cool. So a little bit better balance as far as life goes.
Yeah, very nice.
That's awesome. That's amazing, and congratulations on the retirement. I wanted to say, Dave, thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Where could people, follow the Challenge Cup? Do you guys have like a social media or anything, or like where people can keep updates on everything on?
Yeah, we do have a website, uschallengecup.org. So all of our tournament information is on there. We use Facebook. We use all really social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter. We'll probably at some point get TikTok rolling because the kids are all TikTokers, and so I've been talking to a few of my younger peeps, and one of the girls who plays in our stuff she's going to start covering a few of our events, and we'll start having a little bit different stuff as far as platform goes. So, but they can really find us almost anywhere when it comes to social media.
Awesome.
Very
That's
nice.
great. Well, David, thank you so much for your time, and thanks again for what you do for the junior golfers of the area with the Challenge Cup, and really introducing the game and getting them the opportunity to play. And it's absolutely amazing what you guys have. And Austin and I might have to come to a tournament and maybe do a little coverage or sit down and do a tournament podcast from there, as long as our technical difficulties allow us to.
Austin's a mainstay at our tournaments. He was one of four guys, and this has never happened in the 41 years that we've run a tournament. So our second round of the DaveAdamonis Senior Players Championship was at Point Judith Country Club on Thursday. And in the span, he kicked it off, or as I said, he dunked it off. In the span of 1 hour, we had four players pull out from a pitching distance to a full 140-yard shot for eagle twos, all from the fairway, which was unbelievable. As I said, deuce is wild at the DaveAdamonis Senior Players Championship. I mean, those are the types of things. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. I mean, Austin can really attest to. He probably plays in maybe I think 4 of our events during the course of the season, and he can really attest to the environment. I mean, golf's such a great game. You meet so many good people through it, and it's something that I've really enjoyed being a part of for my span of time working with the Challenge Cup.
Yeah, I want to personally say thank you. The events are awesome. Anyone listening that wants to get in one, I suggest that you do. The staff is great, the way that the course is set up and how the tournament is run. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much for letting me be a part of it and being able to play and keeping it going.
Happy to do it. It's I always joke around and say that I do it for free if I was fortunate enough. I mean, it's a love of labor, really. I feel pretty fortunate, much like you guys are doing this, right? This is something that's fun and you enjoy and you look forward to. It's not really a job, it's just it's a love of labor.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, David. Appreciate your time, and have fun today out there.
Yeah. Good luck with everything this year, guys. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.